It's story time. Story. Alright, guys. It's just a time really where I want to tell you a story. My story, really, and how I started off, really briefly. And for some of you, maybe you're an international and you've been told, oh, you can't do it, it's difficult, you can't get a professional job, and all of it. Not true at all. So I hope you can join me on this journey. And remember, determination is a skeleton, but it's a framework of the mind. And once you have the right frame and your focus, you can achieve whatever you choose to. Join me. Thank you. Right. Okay. So welcome back. And yeah, my story. First off, regardless of where you're from, I want you to know that you can succeed. And in a sense, I kind of appreciate or understand when people say, oh, it's difficult to get a job. Yes, people have different experiences, and I'm not here to oversimplify those experiences. I'm just here to say that you can still succeed regardless of how others may have failed in the past or even your own failures as well. I've had mine. So I'm not standing here to say every job I applied for I got. No, not at all. But I still got one in the end. So I think really the key here is not giving up. I started my master's. I did it in a university in London, and I really didn't work during my master's, to be honest, but I did afterwards. What I had done was I looked around. There were big, how London is, big organizations, and there was a firm just next to my home, well, pretty close, about 10 minutes walk, I think, to my house. And I walked in and spoke to the manager, and I just had a conversation about my skills, ideas, and opening. At the time, there was no opening. And about a month or so later, an employee was leaving. So he contacted me and he said, oh, he remembered I came to him about this. I should come in for an interview. I should apply for that role and we'll see how it goes. And then I went in and it was a great conversation. And yes, I got my first full-time job in a financial firm in London. Now, tips on how to write good CVs and some of the tricks and stuff like this, I'll cover in another video. Today is just a conversation, really, and I hope you can leave your comments in the comment section. How did you get your first job? What job was that? And we can have these kinds of conversation. Well, before I got the full-time role, I had a part-time role within my university as a student ambassador. So there are certain student jobs you can get whilst you study, and of course, unlike me, many other colleagues had part-time jobs in other organizations. Of course, because you've got a Tier 4 visa, it's very unlikely that you get a full-time job anyway. So you need to look for a part-time job, and there are a number of good ones out there. So afterwards, months after I came in for a PhD, I walked into a shop, and it was a lovely, lovely man. But, after having a quick chat with me and said, oh, you're international. Well, you can't really get a professional job. Just settle in if you can get maybe a care job or a support job. Now, these care-related jobs are great. They pay you well, and it has certain levels of flexibility, no doubt at all. But I had a different path, okay? I wanted to be a lecturer. I wanted something that would be so flexible that I know I'm working and then in the office, and that kind of white collar job, as it were. Okay, so of course, there are people who have carried on that path, maybe as a support worker. I did some support on pastoral care myself, and they loved it, and they decided to become nurses and all of that. That's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Please go for it. There is dignity in labor anytime, anywhere. You can start from anywhere. As far as it pays your bills, the title doesn't really count these days. In fact, people who presumably have the biggest titles don't have as much money, or so I'm not here to say, oh, there's this particular field where you can get the best pay or satisfaction or whatever. Each job has its own challenges. As a lecturer, you come back from work and then you've got some marking and you'll find yourself doing it, and different lecturers, of course, may have different ways of going about their own roles and all. But yeah, there's no perfect place. Life no balance, like we say in my country. There's nothing really perfect anywhere. It's just about what you want, how you can manage it. And the aim of this video really is just to tell you that you can. So after I had this conversation with this man, and his presumptions, I would dare say, is that because I'm international, it'll be difficult. But I didn't give up. I decided when I was ready, I studied for about 9, 10 months before I started looking for a job. And I did apply. Before then, the support work I got, it was to kind of help a teenager really, and be more for pastoral care and just advise them and that sort of thing, and just monitor and see they're doing okay and they're legally following the laws, legal stuff and all. Anyway, fast forward about a year after my PhD journey started, I got the job that I wanted. I wasn't the best qualified. I wouldn't assume I was, because even if I had a certificate within the finance, and I've worked in finance in London, like I said, I wasn't particularly skilled with the insurance side of things. So anyway, I got an insurance job, and it was great colleagues, fantastic environment, loved it. If I had a chance to go back and work for them again or with them, I would. Great time. Okay, now there are certain things in all of this that permit me not to speak about the lecturing role for now, but yes, I did get a lecturing role with an institution before my current one, of course. But just a few things I needed to be aware of in this journey. I think for me, one thing that stands out really well is the fact that I didn't give up. And I want to tell you the truth. Sometimes I felt like giving up, because it's like, well, whenever you get those replies, we're sorry on this occasion, I'm afraid on this occasion, you're not qualified and all. I think staying focused, being determined is really good, but you also need to hone your skills, upskill, learn new skills. So if you're an international, you're just joining or you're just coming into the UK, you need to get an NI. It starts from there, so just do apply online. And also look at setting good websites like Indeed, jobs.ac.uk. For those of you looking for PhD scholarships, great website to get really useful information. And networking, LinkedIn, you could look at the CIPD website, depends again on your role, and you could also look for job roles specific to your field in the relevant sites as well. You could also check big organizations, multinational corporations. They may have a branch in your home country. They may have a branch, here in the UK. Even the job that you probably have done before, you could look for the same or similar titles. Start from somewhere, but just start. Okay, don't give up. Even if it's a new field, somewhere you're going into, you can show that you've got transferable skills. That will also be useful. And then do some learning. Interview questions. What are your weaknesses, your strengths? They do ask all these questions. Tell us about yourself. This is not a time to tell them, oh, I've got 4 sisters and 10 brothers and a mom, and we live in California, and all of this kind of things. Is that kind of question where you want to really bring to the fore those excellent skills that are in consonance with what they want. Some not just universities, but some institutions, organizations in general, have these systems that help them to sieve through the CVs, and using certain active keywords that they want could also get you in. But we'll cover that in our CV and interview videos. Okay, so after I got this, back to our story, after I got this part-time job, it really said I really had a good time, like I said, and when I finished my PhD, I thought, well, I'm going full-time now, because on your visa, so Tier 4, if you have a Tier 4 visa, and you normally can only work for 20 hours, isn't it? And then afterwards, you can do a full-time job. So I wanted something more. And whilst working part-time, I was also lecturing, by the way. And then, started looking which organization has a very student-centric, research-focused element and things like this. And for me, at the time, I also wanted to get a job that can sponsor my visa as well. So for those of you who are coming in for masters now, it's quite favorable. After you finish your masters, you can have 2 years, and of course, when you finish PhD, you can have 3 years. But back then, it was just 4 months after your masters, and then bye-bye, basically. So anyway, I wanted a job. I was almost done with my PhD, but I wanted a job that could sponsor, even if I knew there were other options like GTV and the postdoc visa as well. But I just wanted a skilled visa. And then I applied, and you can look at the lists. That could also be a source of guide for you. But I did apply and got one. And great institution. Permit me not to focus too much on names for now. But really, the thing that kept me going was, I'm a Christian, so I pray. I believe that God answers prayers. Of course, he does, he always would. And maybe you're not a person of faith. Well, you could still apply, you could still work hard on your skills, you could still follow the rules. You know, there's certain tips and tricks you need to be aware of when writing your CV, or perhaps when, you know, responding to interview questions as well. You need to learn all of this different elements. Right. 4 things I've learned in this journey is, number 1, don't let the color of your skin, your tribe, your background, or whatever it is stop you. You know, sometimes people cry racism. It may not be racism, it may just be a case of your own mindset. You know, if you're not getting the right skills, what do you want your employer to do? And I know that, you know, racism is real. I'm not oversimplifying it. I'm just saying that sometimes it's not the path to go. You just need to work on those skills. There are great organizations that are very geocentric. They want people who have the right skills and talents, and they're willing to offer the right jobs to them, and even get you trained as well. And the second thing is, when you get those rejections, they can hurt, but don't let that stop you either. Keep going. Okay, you will. We all do. And there's nobody I know that I've asked, I haven't gone through that. The third one is, every institution or organization is not necessarily the place for you. Okay, so I had this particular interview. I walked into the organization, I heard them conversing, you know, people, and the whole atmosphere, I'm like, I'm not sure I can work here. Already I was stressed looking for the right path and train and boss and whatever to get there. I'm like, not the best place for me. And luckily I didn't get the job. So it was a good thing I didn't, actually. So yeah, it's not every organization that you fit into. Now there may be some that you were like, yes, I really want this company, and maybe you didn't get it. Don't worry, another one will come if you don't give up. Okay, and the final point is, guess what? I'm not the center of the universe. I'm sure you didn't see that one coming. Well, there are other things they may be looking for. And it's not just about you not being good enough or whatever. Sometimes you need to give yourself credit. Now, I've had some conversations with people that applied to this particular organization, and maybe they had so many skills and qualifications and they didn't get through. And they know someone who is less skilled, less qualified, but got through. There may be other dynamics you're not aware of. So you need to give yourself a good break to say, well, pat yourself on the shoulder. I've not given up. That's a good point. And you can still keep going. I hope these few points can help you. I'm not just here to tell you, oh, I was this superwoman that got all the jobs I want. I'm here to tell you, you too can do it. Don't let things stop you. You can make it. So look at those lists of, you know, sponsors if you're looking for a sponsored job. But that's not to say that you can't get a job where they're not yet on the sponsorship list, because it is possible for them to actually apply for sponsorship, and the laws are quite flexible in that regard as well. I have a relative, a dear friend, who got a job with a company, great company, he said, but they didn't have that sponsorship and they were able to apply for it. So don't really stop yourself or limit yourself. And when you get the job, put in your best. I mean, whatever our hands find doing, we should do it really well. Now, you may get in there and maybe the culture is quite flexible, and you may feel, well, everyone is doing this or doing that. It's not enough for you to settle in for any deviant behavior that you find in the workplace. I'm not saying it's always the case, but it's very possible where, you know, humans are, there may be 1 or 2 outliers. I mean, look at the story. For those of you who are familiar with it, Jesus had 12 disciples and there was 1 Judas. For those of you who are not, I'm trying to say that it's very possible for people to not really fit into the norm or organizational behavior, as it were. Not the best, but this is life. Okay, so but don't let that change your own right attitude. And of course, if you have a wrong view of work, hey, wake up. Hello. Okay, you can get the right one. You can do some studies. You can be more self-aware. Nobody's perfect, but if we can manage those weaknesses, it'll be brilliant. All right, let me stop here for today. Thank you so much for joining. If you have your own thoughts and comments, leave them in the section. And if you haven't subscribed, Like, really? What are you waiting for? Okay, guys, smash the sub button, like the video if you like it, comment, share. Thank you very much. I'll see you again soon. Cheers, bye.